The intense ice storm that impacted the southern plains is finally winding down, but unfortunately, this isn't the end of concerning storms over the next several days. In fact, a piece of the polar vortex is about to make major implications to our weather pattern in the United States over the next 7 days. In today's forecast, we'll break down a very dangerous Arctic blast that'll impact the United States, along with another major storm that'll bring both rain and snow next week. As I mentioned in the intro, this big ice storm is finally coming to an end, and a big reason why is because we originally had a low pressure system funneling in a ton of moisture to areas like Texas and the Dixie Valley. Now, since that's coming to an end, all of this precipitation in the form of pretty much cold rain is going to move off to the east into the Atlantic Ocean over the next 24 hours. But our next concerning storm is going to actually be coming out of Canada, and this is actually one of the coldest air masses in the entire planet right now. This will be ushering in very cold air. We could be talking about wind chills as low as 60 to 70 degrees below zero. It's going to get frigid back up in the Northeast and Midwest over the next 48 hours. This will all lead to a big pattern change as well going to next week, where we could see a big storm with snow, rain, and potentially even some severe weather. Beginning with tonight, that very cold air mass is going to be centered over areas in the Midwest. But by late tonight into tomorrow morning, the center of the coldest air will be over areas in New England. Here's that core of the coldest air mass basically on the planet right now will be going into New England. Now, you may notice that all that cold air is actually going to usher into areas like Florida. Now, it will not make drastic impacts to areas like Florida in comparison to areas in New England. Main reason why is because the center of the cold air mass is way back up to the north, but cold air actually will be felt as far south as Florida. Going into Saturday and even into Sunday, that cold air mass shifts off to the east, and by Sunday, warm weather returns. And I'm not even kidding, this is going to be basically a 36-hour event before above freezing temperatures return by Sunday. It is going to be a very quick Arctic blast. It's one of the quickest I think I've ever seen. All right, so the wind chills over the next few days, you might notice back over in the Northeast in New England, very cold air mass will be up there. But again, by Sunday, that warm weather will return, and you can see back down in the southern plains as well, warmer weather returning there. That could cause the concern for some severe weather going into next week. More on that here in just a moment. Overall, the watches and warnings across the United States, all of the ice storm warnings are now canceled or have expired, along with the winter storm warnings. The only exception is a very small ice storm warning back in southeast Arkansas that will be expiring shortly. And believe it or not, there's actually a blizzard warning back up in Maine. More on that here in just a second, but before we go too much further into the forecast, I need to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Valparaiso Honeybees. They offer the best 100% natural honey products. From regular honey to hot honey and multiple flavors of creamed honey, there is literally something for everyone. My personal favorite is their chocolate creamed honey. It is phenomenal. I literally put it on top of ice cream. It tastes better than chocolate sauce. These are seasonal products and they will sell out quick. Make sure to go to valparaisohoneybees.com or click the link in the top of the description to support a small business that also supports my YouTube channel. Now back to the forecast. So you may be wondering, why is there a blizzard warning back up in New England? Well, first off, we can look at the reflectivity over the next 24 hours. There's hardly going to be any snow back up in northern Maine, but you may miss a key characteristic with a blizzard warning, because there doesn't necessarily have to be snow falling for there to be a blizzard warning. In fact, you only need really gusty winds and a few inches of snow on the ground for drifting to occur, which will lead to blizzard-like conditions. That's what's expected going into tomorrow and as well as into Saturday. Wind gusts back up in northern Maine will be between 30 to 40 miles per hour, eventually peaking near 50 to 55 miles per hour, which is high enough for blizzard-like conditions to occur. The current snow depth back up in northern Maine is right around 2 to 3 feet of snow, so that is a lot of snow. That will be drifting all over the place going into tomorrow and as well as into Saturday, which will cause those blizzard-like conditions. So keep that in the back of your head. Obviously, there's a blizzard warning, but there's not going to be a whole lot of additional snowfall coming out of this Arctic blast. In fact, a lot of drier air will actually be coming with this. It's going to be primarily just cold air overall. All right, so going into tonight into tomorrow, again, wind chills will really start to drop quickly going into tomorrow morning, eventually going closer to about 10, 11, 12 o'clock going into tomorrow morning. Wind chills will be dropping between 30 degrees to maybe 50 degrees below zero, but going into Saturday morning is when the most dangerous Arctic air will arrive, and this is going to be between 50 to 80 degree wind chills below zero across areas like Maine and northern New Hampshire. Mount Washington actually has the possibility to get close to 90 degrees below zero, so it is going to be absolutely frigid. Avoid going outdoors Saturday morning because this weather is very dangerous to be outside in. Now, another thing to keep in mind is the actual temperatures. The actual temperatures will be well below zero across New England going into Friday afternoon and into the evening hours. By Saturday morning, we're still below zero for the most part. High temperatures may just creep above 0 degrees, and eventually going into late Saturday night into Sunday, you actually might notice by Sunday afternoon, temperatures return back to above freezing in parts of New England. So again, this is going to be done within basically a snap of your finger. It's not going to last very long, but for the time duration that does last, it will bring some very dangerous impacts if you're outside. So again, avoid going outdoors if at all possible. If you have to, stay very bundled up. All right, overall over the next few days, there's not going to be a whole lot of rain, high pressure dominating the eastern half of the United States, but going into next week will be our next big system beginning around Tuesday or Wednesday. This is when that low pressure system is likely to develop across the Great Plains. Where it really develops is a bit of a question mark right now, but that'll be a big key characteristic because this will likely bring the potential for rain, snow, and maybe even some severe weather as we go into the mid to late next week. And one reason why we might see some severe weather is because the European model is already indicating that we'll have some instability coming out of the Gulf of Mexico with strong southerly winds. Moisture will be returning, so some severe weather may return to areas like Texas and back through the lower Mississippi Valley heading into next week. We will keep you updated with the latest on this situation as we get closer. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already. This forecast is brought to you by Platinum Contracting.